What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the story of Maegan, right here on the only place you can find it, Movie Films. Welcome everybody to the story of. This is season 5. You guys know the deal. Subscribe, like the video, put some comments down below, and as always, stay classy, YouTube. Before we get things started, I want to address something that's been on my mind. You know, when people speak of the greats, when people talk about the great people throughout history, they always talk about, people like Fidel Castro, Kim Jong-un, Hitler. But for whatever reason, they always leave my boy, my co-host, the one, the great, the only, Michael Bowie.
Thank you, Manny, and I'm so happy that you did that introduction at the beginning when you told everybody that it's the only place that they can find it, right here on Bowie Films. I know that you've been telling a lot of people that it's on Telemundo. However, I'm pretty sure we're just gonna go with YouTube on Bowie Films. Thank you so much for putting that energy out there. We're back. Episode 6. Here we are. Story of Maegan Tietz. We are about to jump right into it. We had talked about your second marriage and how that went. So we know that there was a divorce. So tell me about how that all ended. Where are we at with that? Why didn't it last? How long did it last?
Well, I dated this guy for a couple of years, and we had 7 kids between the two of us, and it was great for 2 years. And when we got married, it was a beautiful wedding on the beach. And mind you, my mom came back into my life around this time too. So my mom got to be involved with the wedding, and we all flew out to Florida, and it was great. And then we came back from Florida, and about 3 months later, we just crumbled. It was really fast. I just married someone I didn't really know. People's true colors come out after marriage, I found out. And I always thought that my first marriage was like baby love. That's where you always got that perfect idea of how life is supposed to be. And then my second one was very childish. Maybe irresponsible, maybe naive. So it was a mistake, but it wasn't a terrible mistake. It didn't end terrible. We're still friends to this day, me and my second husband. We're cool. But it just, we just didn't mesh very well after the marriage. So I moved on, and I became a single mother, and that's what I have been ever since.
Well, let's talk about that second marriage, though.
What did you
guys meet? Okay, all right, well, people want to know, Maegan, this is your story. Where did you guys meet? You said you have children, you got all these things going on. How do you want to talk about it? What's going
on? Yeah, all our kids got along. We all got along great. It was fun. We had a great relationship up until the marriage, obviously. Me and the kids moved in with him. We met at Marlowe's over here in Brownstown off Telegraph Road in Taylor. Brownstown off Telegraph Road. And then I lived in Taylor. So I moved in with him and the kids, and everything was great for a long time. And like I said, when we got married, we just realized that we weren't the same people that we thought we were. We were just kind of in that. We were hopeless romantics. Let's put it that way. Going on that.
I feel like a lot of people learn their lessons inside of their first marriage, but you are somebody who had 2 marriages. So what are some of the biggest takeaways, things that you learned coming out of 2 marriages and divorces? Would you ever get married again? Would you ever get married again, and what you would do differently?
Okay. I would say what I took out of this all is, I'll go back to what I said before. Kids are always the most important. I go off of my kids' feelings and how they are, and they just kind of weren't comfortable in the situation anymore because me and my new husband started to argue right into the marriage. And I just remember the kids saying one day, Mom, we don't want to go home. And I thought that was weird because my kids don't say stuff like that. And I had the U-Haul there and my cousin the next day moving my shit out. It was probably mean of me. I feel like maybe I became a runner Like I ran from things. Like what I've learned now is that I became a runner. I ran before I could get hurt from things, and it probably did protect me from a lot. But sometimes now what I've taken from it is to slow down, take your time. Things happen for a reason. Pray about it more. Take, patience. Patience is such a virtue. So I have become more patient, less selfish. I don't run anymore. I confront things right where they're at. I believe that there's a way to fix everything, even if it means a divorce. Even if it means that an end of a relationship, but it shouldn't have to. That goes for friendships and family ties and everything. I think that there's always a way to fix things, whether we choose to or not. That is what we're left with.
Okay. Why do you say less self?
Did you answer if you would ever get married again?
I'm absolutely going to get married again. Yes, I will. If before the end of the world, maybe. We'll see.
Sorry, to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like you said, you learned to become less selfish, right? You said, but I don't know. In my mind, and for everybody watching at home that may not know, make sure you guys go watch the first few episodes. But it seems like throughout your life, you were not selfish. You were not a selfish person. So what makes you think you are selfish in terms of your marriage or, coming out of your marriage?
Okay. So maybe I learned to keep being less selfish.
Okay. All right.
Maybe I've learned to stay consistent and still stay giving and still stay caring and still, even though my heart's been broke a million times, probably, maybe, I don't know, but if it has, to just still keep putting my heart out there, because it don't hurt too bad. After a while, time is time.
Sure, but maybe do you think then in that case, do you think you need to be more selfish? I mean, sometimes being selfish is a good thing. Like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna take care of myself, I'm gonna take care of my kids, I'm gonna take care of my own. And
of course, when it comes to the kids, yeah, but for me personally, no. I'm always going to be a selfless person. I'm always going to be more giving, because I think that that's what this world needs. A lot more of that.
And so, looking at coming out of two marriages and divorces, what did you do next? How did you kind of mentally gauge yourself for the next step inside of your life after that? I'm sure that you were inside of the mindset where you're like, oh, it didn't work again. So what was your escape? How did you get back on track? What did you use to get back on track?
Oh, it was hard. It's taken 12 years now since my first divorce, but so after all the divorces and stuff, and I got set up on my own in my own house with the kids and, the Section 8. So I had that. I was a little more comfortable to pursue what I wanted to do. And I really didn't know what that was yet, because I had been to college. I went back to college for a couple more years at Kaplan and did some online medical transcription. And, by the time I graduated that with my associates, like, transcription was out. It was pretty much going out, like, literally that year. So went back to square one, like, what do I want to do? And music in the entertainment entertainment industry and broadcasting and radio really fascinated me, especially because, like, I have this old record player from the 50s that I have from West Germany, back in the 50s. My grandparents brought over, and I was always interested to see, like, how did they get the whole world news on these record players? Like, you can tune into any country in the world. And I always, that right there drew me into the broadcasting thing. Like, if everything goes out, like, and the lights go out, like I used to talk to with the kids at the studios, how are you going to make music still? How are you going to speak to people still? How are you going to communications, really, is so important. And I fell in love with it. So I started learning how to get into media, be it print media, the radio, the digital, vlogging, podcasting, everything. I was just so fascinated. I still am. I love it. I figured a business plan out for myself. And my business plan was to use the music and use the airwaves to carry products and brands. And that's what I was going to do. That's what I'm going to retire on. And that's what I'm going to open up an office for. And I'm still working on it to this day. Sticking to it.
You said carry products and brands through...
Yep, I like to support all the small businesses, the small local area businesses, any independent contractors, independent, business owners. I love working for them. I started out with small brands, like True Story in Detroit. I've even came up with my own brand of clothing at some point, just to kind of show other people how to start those brands, and then use the music and use the broadcasting and the print to spread the word. And then it brings you into live events and local fairs and concerts and all that. So I learned the vendors, the vendor spots. I've managed one nice big concert for myself. That was very fun here locally. I support my comedians, anyone in the art and entertainment industry. I try to link them with brands and local businesses and then put it out to the world. So that's my favorite thing to do.
It's funny that you had brought up music, because I know that a few episodes back, and anybody that is keeping watch over all your episodes, they'll know what I'm talking about. You had said that we would get to this point of talking about this with DMX. So how did it come about? What happened? What did he say that maybe had left a mark inside of your memory that inspired you, or how did that interaction go? What happened?
How about this? The only reason why I even had enough balls or drive to get up off my butt that night and go meet DMX is because of the local bands in the area. So I used to work with them at like the Perfect Picture and, places where I've seen so many local live rock bands from the 80s on up to the new times. And they taught me not to be scared, and were so like caring and like, just great people. So Alexandria and the Transit Band, her husband, Michael Bailey, they were great. Let's see, I went out to a couple of Detroit clubs and I met people like, let's see, what was his name? Okay, so let's see, I've got him right here. Spice One, we've sponsored him with some clothing. We had Jeezy come to a local event here for Flint Water, and we gave him clothing from our clothing line. I met, let's see, Mr. Keith Washington, who was best friends with Martin Lawrence. Got to drive around a couple blocks in Detroit with him and his driver arguing about things. And Maegan always wins if you want to debate. If anybody ever wants to debate, I will win this shit. So I've had those experiences first. Then I was laying in bed one night and I was having a rough night because my kids were at their dad's for 6 weeks, right? And I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, oh my God, 6 weeks. I'd never even been away from them for more than a couple days. So what I did, I flipped on the radio and they said DMX is at Blue Iguana off Fort Street in Lincoln Park right now playing pool. And I jumped up and I got in my car, not even looking if I had gas or not. And I rode over to the Blue Iguana and I walked in and there was DMX playing pool right there at the first pool table. And I kind of already knew, I've worked at the Blue Iguana back in the day, waitressing and bartending. Mostly bartending. I hated waitressing, so it always put me behind the bar. I'm behind the bar where nobody can touch anything except for me. So I like that. So I walked in and everybody's happy to see me and they kind of all knew me. So Dee was like, okay, she's cool with me. And his friends offered to put gas in my car and I could go back to the hotel. Now, in anybody else's mind, like if I, like me as a parent and as, as myself looking back, could have been a dangerous situation, yes. But, and maybe I was offered as a sacrifice, you never know, because I know that these guys will bring girls back to these parties with these artists that come into town expecting her to be a gift. So I really was, because we ended up going back. DMX broke my son's little toy gun that I had in my car, yelling at some girl in the White Castle, trying to get back to the hotel. That's where we really had the one-on-one. Told him he owed my son some toys, you know, because he broke his stuff. And we thought that was funny. So we got back to the hotel, and I got to meet his family. I got to meet a lot of Rough Rider females from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast, from Chicago, New York, California, everywhere. They made sure they took me from room to room, even to DMX in his wife's room, to knock on the door and ask for a lighter. Like, these guys his family introduced me to everyone. And then by the end of that first night when we hung out, I remember tucking in like a couple people that had fell asleep and being like, bye guys, call me again, you know. And I left, and I'm like, that's great. Oh, mind you, let me back up a tiny couple minutes. So a couple hours before throwing the blankets over their tennis shoes while they were laying on the bed, there was 2 other girls that came back to that hotel room. I remember the 2 other girls going in the bathroom with some dudes and getting escorted right back out of the hotel room and down the lobby and out the doors. And I watched both of these girls do that, and I sat in the back of the room with Dee's brother. My phone was dead. I remember kind of getting nervous, and I looked at them, and I looked up, and everybody looked at me, and I was just like, I am not the one. And they all just went back to doing their business and like listening to their music on their laptops and, you know, ciphering their business. And I don't know, it set a precedent big for me in my life. I knew as a female, like, you can get treated like that in the industry, or you can get treated like this with some respect. And like, it was dangerous for me to walk into. But now at this point, within 2 years, I've been on stage with DMX, like at another point. They came back to town, and they actually called me back, because I was not one of those girls that got walked out of that room. I knew that as soon as they looked at me and I said those words. I am not the one. They all believed me. Thank God. And DMX and his friends and his family were really good to me. They always were. He was great. He let's see, when he came into the room with me and my 2 friends, on a personal note, and I want people to know this, that are fans of him, this was like 4 years ago, he had the Mexican Mafia actually as his managers. So they were running shit right. They were getting his money. They were helping him get clean. They were keeping garbage away from him. I remember.
Mafia? Were any of those cousins of yours, Manny, or
part of them?
More like a black mafia fan. No, you know what? Continue. Go ahead, Megan. Go ahead.
No, these guys were legit. They were legit, because he had bad management before that. So I witnessed the bad management, and now I'm witnessing the good management the next time he comes. And I remember they came into the room with me and another guy that were sitting there waiting to talk to D. And his manager throws a bag of Vicodins at this guy, throws a bag of weed at this guy, and says, what's he gonna do? Take it on the airplane with him? He was so mad. His manager was so pissed off. So just mind everybody, D came to town, and maybe he asked for painkillers. Maybe he wanted to smoke a little of bud. But he didn't come here asking for anything like they accuse him of or call him out for. So, no cracky wacky. None of that crap. He didn't want nothing to do with it. It was his management that kept, you know, I saw it all. It was great. So then the third time I got to see him, it was at Shane Park. We got to go on stage at Shane Park, and I was like one of a few girls up on stage with everybody. Just walked right in there like I was supposed to be there. I have a video of me walking into the hotel, and he's like, mount up. I'm like, okay, which truck? Who knows if he even knew who I was or where I was supposed to be there. And I remember after the show, my friend said, how the hell did you get on stage? Nobody even asked us who you were or anything. I'm like, I know. But afterwards, I told Dee, I said, this is the third time that we've hung out or I've been around and we never got a picture. I've always been taking like Lil Kim's fan photos and E's fan photos at your shows, but we never got a photo. And he was like, oh, come here. And that's where we got the photo that you can see in the outro. So that was good for me. I mean, a lot of the time I was there, my phone was dead, and it was just something I had to go through and witness. It was a silent witness. But now that he's gone, I love telling the story. I love it.
I can tell just by listening to the story how the happiness behind the music industry and the people inside of the music industry and how that had an impact.
Yeah, and they kept me safe from the garbage. They didn't actually throw me into that fire, you know, that you can go into. So
looking at your entire season so far, it really embodies one word, and that's family. You know, the stuff that you went through at a young age with family, you starting your own family, continuing that into an extended family within the second marriage, and I think it just embodies family. So I want to kind of backtrack to that as a kind of a closing thing to kind of talk about where is your family at, your immediate family, your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters. How is that going? I mean, it seems like everything's going good with jobs and with music, but how is things with your family?
Oh, well, I had to lose touch with family for a while to get myself and my kids right. Not so much my brothers and sisters. You know, I always still keep in contact with them and talk to them, and my kids love the crap out of them. Their aunts and uncles are everything to them. They're almost like brothers and sisters to my kids because they're younger, you know. Let's see, my little brother and sister, Carson and Brenna, they are 9 months older than my first kid and 9 months younger than my first kid. So they're around the same age for real. And that's always stayed tight. But my parents, well, me and my mom are good. We're good. We're always working on it. Always, always. She's a wonderful grandmother. She is a really good grandmother. As far as the mother thing, we are always working on our motherhood, trust me. Like, nobody's perfect, but it makes me really happy, and it warms my heart, and it makes me feel good that they get the best parts of grandma. You know what I mean? Even if it's like the grandma, I don't know. But sure. If it changed her life, you know, she's there for my kids. I cannot be mad at her. And my dad, he is a piece of crap. He has 6 kids, and not one of his 6 kids or his grandchildren will speak to him because he is such a dick. He's just a mean, ornery. I swear, he's like, I mean, he is that little German boy. You know, he's got that mean streak in him. He's just like the Grinch. Like, if you call him, he's gonna make you cry or make you really mad. So us kids and the grandkids, stop calling him like after a while, you know. I think he's got a mail order bride, like I said, like that I haven't met yet, that he just got married to. I have no clue. He always tries moving on with his life and forgetting about everybody behind him. And you just, I mean, you can try to run, but you got 6 beautiful kids and a whole bunch of beautiful grandkids. What are you running from? That's my question with that guy. So, to be continued. We'll see where Tommy T goes. Well, I think he's going to get old and really squishy one day. And I'm going to end up having to take care of his ass. But I'm the oldest, so told him be nice to me.
It wouldn't be the first time you take care of family.
No.
I guess sort of my last question from my end anyway is putting it all together, sort of like Michael said. You know, how does music, I guess, play an impact on your kids' lives now? Are you trying to indulge them in the music? Are you trying to show them, hey, you know what, this was this person, this was such and such, they had an impact on my life, I want you to listen to them? How does music play a role in your kids' lives?
I think me and their dad had a hella playlist of all the great music from before, and so did my dad. So we've taught them and raised them up on some good stuff, but now my 18-year-old son has the best playlist I've probably ever heard from anybody, any DJ, anybody. Like, he will play some rock and roll, some blues, some Jamaican, some reggae. He'll have some barely any country, just a little bit of country. Some great hip hop with some great lyrics, like smart lyrics, you know, like you can just tell he's got it in his soul too. Yeah, sometimes it just comes in your soul. But as far as the music industry, I want to let you guys know that it took me down a rabbit hole. At the end of it all, I had to learn the history of music and art and history just of things, the music and the art especially, and Bible texts and things like that, biblical things, imagery, idolism, things like that. And this took me down a path where I found Jesus. So this is where I was close to God all my life. But when I went searching for the Holy Grail, just like men have been searching for that for their entire lives, trying to save themselves with something, trying to search for something, I found Jesus in the music because he was what I was looking for. He was that cornerstone to my life that I needed, that cap to keep me safe. And I knew that I had angels watching over me the whole time. I've been walking in and out of these dangerous places and spaces in the music industry. Thank God, like I said, I always thank God that I was safe, but I've been in places where I shouldn't have been too, just like when I was a kid. And I started to see that cycle come back around me, like I did with the ex-husband and with the parents. And pretty much ever since then, I've been at home. I worked from home. I worked for the local magazine, the city magazine here locally, and for 15 different cities in the Downriver area. And I quit that for COVID and stayed home with my kids since then. But main thing I'm doing right now is staying very close to home, not doing any more out of the house events. I feel like God gave me all the tools that I need to be safe at home right now. Mm-hmm. So, it's kind of flipped for me. It was like out in the open in the, public and meeting everybody, and it was crazy, to at home quiet. And now I get to start the next process.
Well, there's two things that I kind of want to end on this note to all the people that are watching. I think that this entire episode, like I said, the past episodes, your entire season embodies family, but I think that this episode, the word that it embodies is music. And so there's two things that I want to touch on about music. Number one, music is important inside of everybody's life. I can't tell you how many times it helps as some type of therapeutic thing where people can listen to music or enjoy music and how it can brighten their day, no different than laughter. And comedy. So I appreciate how music has that kind of impact on everybody. And I do want to appreciate everybody for tuning in and watching in honor of music. Since we're talking about music, Manny, for you, music, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh!
I was wondering, Manny, are we friends on Facebook yet?
Okay. You know what? We'll talk about that later. I don't want that out there to the public. But Mike,
I can't hear you. Oh, okay. I was gonna keep going with this. We're running short on time. Yes. You can go ahead and head back to. But yes, music is definitely important. I'm pretty sure that I boosted Manny's day just by playing his heritage music. I don't even know if that's a real thing, but the music from his heritage. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We have one more episode here with Maegan Tietz, the final episode, and so I hope that everybody tunes in to see how things are going currently inside your life. That's kind of the things that we're going to talk about. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell. Do all that jazz. Let us know inside the comments what you guys think, and if you ever want to be a guest here on the story of, hit us up inside of the comments or hit us up online, let us know. Other than that, we will check everybody out next week. Yeah, I was using the wrong thing. We'll check everybody out next week.